Welcome to the Gabe Gallucci Golf Show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the Gabe Gallucci Golf Show. I'm your host, Gabe Gallucci, with my boy, Dave. Brother.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Gabe.
Happy New Year. Merry belated Christmas.
You too. I feel like I haven't chatted with you much over the last week.
I know. It's been a while. But you know what? I feel like now with the pod, because, the whole point of this podcast was for you and I to have our golf chats here. And now we talk less, which is like kind of sad, but also kind of good for the pod, a little bit of both. Although maybe you're just sick of me. And so this is just good for you now.
I had a Gabe-free Christmas. That's what we called it in the house.
Nice. I'm sure.
And it was a sad one.
It was sad? I miss you too, buddy. How was your holiday? I heard you had you told me you made a little jaunt to down south for some golf.
It was good. I got the last couple rounds of golf in on the year. I headed down to Sonoma, California.
Ooh.
And played 2 rounds at Sonoma Golf and Country Club. Played in a shotgun tournament on December 24th, Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And then snuck another round in on the 26th. That was great.
So you got 4 rounds in. What was the format?
2 rounds.
Oh, sorry. What was the
24th and 26th?
Okay. What was the format of the shotgun tournament?
It was just a member shotgun there for Sonoma Golf and Country Club. Special thanks to Tony Marshall and the crew there at Sonoma Golf and Country Club for getting us in. I will say that is, if anyone gets a chance, that is my favorite golf course in the world to play. I think it is one of the best layouts I've ever played. Yeah.
And why? Just architecturally?
Architecturally, it's beautiful. Every hole is different, and it's one of the few golf courses that I play where I hit every club in my bag.
Oh. What tees, like, what's the yardage from tees you played?
We played a combo set that was 66, and I think the course, if you play it from the tips, is 7,000, and it goes all the way up to like the front tees are 52.
Oh, so very versatile.
So it's a good mix. You can 5 sets of tees along with 2 combos in between. So lots of options for everyone to play. And then I believe, so it is a private course, members only. But if you stay at the Fairmont property in Sonoma, then you gain access to play around.
So you're telling me we're going to the Fairmont when it snows here?
Get your passport ready. Let's go.
Sick. And sorry, what was it? What was the tournament? It was a scramble? What was it? Best ball?
No, it was individual.
Oh.
Just individual, but just shotgun. So just put us off in groups. We were fortunate. We teed off on 1, which was great.
Oh, wow. What a draw.
I played horrible, which was unfortunate. My last 9, I finally figured out my golf swing. The 26 was hilarious. I shot 46 on the front and 36 in the back.
Oh, because you literally,
2 different golfers.
You found it.
Yeah.
And how's the new putter? How's the Scotty?
Putter was good. Yeah, putting was not the issue. It was just sloppiness. Right. Chips like 150 yards out, miss a green, put it in a bunker. I will say that course has undergone a redo this summer. They added a bunch of bunkers and relocated a bunch. And it went from a course where I would never find the sand to finding the sand 4 or 5 times around.
Oh, wow.
Like perfectly placed new fairway bunkers. New sand, though. Nice. That, that fine white imported kind of. Yeah. So, course was in great shape.
Nice.
But you were in Toronto, and I heard you didn't even touch it.
No, I had the opposite of your Christmas. I didn't. This is one of the longer gaps I've taken. I didn't touch a golf club for. Actually, that's a lie. My brother and I went to the simulator, but I hadn't really. It took basically 10 days off, and hadn't touched a club. Just did a big Italian Christmas and just ate a lot. And
was this like a caffeine withdrawal, but a golf withdrawal? That kind of did you get the jitters?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, I was surprised. It was nice to just chill. I had some when I can play, like especially through the winter, right? If it's not snowing, like I'm out there, right? I try and take advantage every day. Going back to Toronto, it was like there's not really much available. So aside from the 1 hour that my brother and I went to the simulator just to kind of check it out, because a buddy of mine out in Toronto built a place called Pace of Play. And it's a really cool, like, indoor sim spot. Like, they got, like, 6 or 7 TrackMan bays. Like, it's unreal. Aside from that, like, I'd never really been able to take a break and kind of just do a little rehab and kind of rest the body. So it was nice. So I was able to work out every day. Got a ton of meals in, which was great. Good family time. Italian Christmas, like, we just go nuts. Like, we start our Christmas dinner with a full lasagna. Like that's nice. Course one.
That's the amuse-bouche to get to the appetizer.
Exactly. So we start with the lasagna, then we have normal Christmas food, turkey, all those things. And then we have, desserts and everything like that. So that's always fun, and that's good. But yeah, it was great. I did you know what? It was really nice to take a break. I had a couple nagging body things that were kind of annoying me. I get some rear delt stuff from just the constant swinging. So hit that hard, and then just giving the body a break. But it's funny, coming back, nothing replaces just reps of hitting balls. It takes a little bit to get the body back into hitting balls, which I find, just interesting about just kind of, and that kind of leads into what I want to talk about today. In terms of our segments, one thing is how to get good and how to maintain your golf game right now while you're at home and the winter sucks, and how do you kind of keep the game going? Because I think there's some stuff that you and I have figured out on how to do that. And then I want to talk about our 2024 golf goals and go through what we're gonna crush this year. 2024 is gonna be good.
I will say it'll be good because not everyone, including myself, can do the Gabe Gallucci training program. Based on the amount of time, you and I used to give me a hard time for not working out on my golf game more. And I'd remind you, well, Gabe, I got a 9-to-5 job that's usually a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. job. There's not the time. So I think we've gone about finding very different approaches and keeping fit during the off season.
Absolutely. And listen, I understand not everyone can go full golf cocaine mode like I do. But I found some ways to kind of balance that. And I think there's a way to get yourself at least ready for golf so that when you do have the opportunities to play, you can take advantage of it, as opposed to kind of, what I always hear from a lot of my friends is it takes, the first 2 months of the season to kind of get ramped up again. And then everyone starts playing their best golf by September. And then October hits, you kind of get the last little bit, and then golf's over. And then all of a sudden you feel like the season just disappeared on you. So I've put together kind of a list of a couple things that I found can really help and keep things going. So first thing is obviously fitness. And this is kind of when I have to take time away, I've had to take time away for a couple things over the past couple years. And I found that as long as I maintain my fitness and keep my body moving and that is the real engine of the swing, right? That is really what makes it all happen. And I think it's such an underrated aspect of golf. And so I think if, in the wintertime, if you don't have time you're probably doing less activities in general. Most people aren't going out to bars or going out to doing as many social things. And I think that's a great time to maybe reallocate that time to fitness and really fitness, in my opinion, should just be something that kind of makes up your existence. Because I've seen huge benefit, and obviously, it's pretty empirical that fitness is better. But I think that's just one of the big pieces is get your body at least ready to play golf. And I think, you and I talked about it a bunch. You were kind of not really in a fitness regimen, and now you've been doing, was it Golf Forever is the program you do?
Golf Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I found, so for me, I always find it trouble to get motivated.
Right.
I'm working in the middle of the day. What's going to give me some time away? And just the consistency to keep up some sort of fitness has always been hard for me. And, everyone's different, but for me, finding that Golf Forever program, they're quick. They're anywhere, sometimes I'll do 2 workouts. Sometimes I'll do 1, but they're as quick as 20 minutes on the app. Throw your phone on, throw your headphones on. And, they've made a big difference for me.
Yeah. And that's great. And have you noticed in your swing and in your, in your flexibility and everything, cause this is your first full season. You started in the winter of last year, right? Did you notice it
last March?
Right.
So coming up on a year.
Right. So, do you notice? Because what I think what fitness does is that it allows you to kind of pick up where you left off faster.
Yeah, I would say that is accurate. I think for me, one of the big differences is if I didn't play in a while and then I picked up the clubs and ran out, I'd get tired later in the round.
Right.
Doing the Golf Forever program and just being regimented, at least doing it like 3 times a week, I'm not tired by the end of the round.
Right.
Like my swings I'm making on 18 feel as fresh as they were on holes 1 or 2, which is a big advantage.
That's such an underrated comment too, is endurance. Because fatigue from hole, 14 to 18 is real. If you're not prepared for it, that's huge. Yeah, and it's finding something that works with your life. But I think if you have any nagging injuries, ailments, things like that, the off season is the best time to address them because you have the time and you're not putting on the stress that golf. I feel it, like the wear and tear that golf can kind of put on the body of walking 18 plus the swings. Preparing yourself for that is huge.
You've gone through a big transformation though in the last like 2-3 years, because you went for a while. You added a ton of bulk. We touched on this in the last podcast and got really, really strong. And then you kind of shed some of that muscle for leanness and call it flexibility. Where are you now? Like, where do you think, have you found the right mix between bulk and muscle strength versus endurance and cardio, or where do you feel your body?
Yeah, you know what? That's 100% finding that right alchemy of, I think, what translates for golf for me. So when I was lifting heavy and going like kind of more just pure bulk, I definitely had my highest ball speeds. I had probably some of my highest swing speeds, but in terms of control, dispersion, and I think what makes a better golfer, I was missing some things in exactly the flexibility. What I found now is I don't do, a lot of it is actually just like the really heavy squats and the really heavy deadlifts and those kind of moves. I found those would lock me up. So I've stopped doing that, and I do a lot of HIIT training. I do a lot of kettlebell stuff and a ton of different body weight work, like Cossack squats and just the ATG knees over toes guy program. So I do like the split squats and all of those things. I try and get really strong through a full range of motion. And that's been the focus for the last 2 years. And then a lot of it is also working on hips and like hip strength and hip mobility, because sitting is just so horrific for your hips. And I think in the off season too, you're probably going to sit more, right? You're sitting on the couch, you're sitting at work, right? You're atrophying a lot of those things. And if you're somebody too, if you have a swing that is like early extending, right? This is one thing that I found too. When I had my early extension swing, if you took time away from golf, I found coming back was like so horrific because you're relying so much on timing, you're getting really tight, and those areas of your body just kind of like, it takes a while to loosen them up and get that feel again, which I think is what a lot of people can relate to. When I moved to a swing that wasn't so early extendy and now I'm turning and pivoting through, I found that I could take more time away from golf and come back quicker. But then also it was just way more repeatable and way more fluid once I then even added the hip mobility and all that stuff into it. And that's been a game changer. Because I think also you can have a bit of a expectation mismanagement because all that core and all that hip stuff, I just didn't realize too how much of a deficit I was in from just all the years of sitting. And I think most people don't, because that's just our lives, right? You're driving and you're inside, and then in the winter you're probably sitting on the couch watching Netflix or doing all that stuff. And so if you can find a program and find some workouts that go into there, I really recommend the knees over toes stuff. If the guy on Instagram his name is Ben Patrick, and it's at knees over toes guy on Instagram. And that stuff's great because you literally rebuild yourself from the ground up. That's his whole thing. So you get your ankles right, you get your knees right, and you kind of work all your way up. That's been huge. Getting strength through a full range of motion, that's also huge. And then in terms of bulk, that kind of actually leads into one of my 2024 goals that we'll get into, but finding that sweet spot for your body of what makes you the most athletic. So for me, I'm undersized right now for what I want to be, but I'm way more flexible now. So now that I have a better foundation and I've rebuilt my core, because I'm also a firm believer through practice now, seeing that like core strength and is just so much of what makes golf better. Like
Yeah.
You want to improve your tempo, you want to improve your chipping, you want to improve your putting, you want to improve all of that. The more psycho I get on core strength, I always see better dividends in all aspects of the game. Even something as simple as like putting and chipping. Core strength is massive. I did a video last year with Ryan Hawley where we stood on the force plates during putting. And I think it was like, if you change your weight distribution from back to front during the putting stroke, more than I think 4%, it was changing a degree of attack angle on the putter. It was wild. And so
And what was the results of that in real life in terms of dispersion? Was it a short, long miss or a left-right miss?
A little bit of both. Like, and especially, sometimes you see the ball bounce, right? Like you can kind of see it pop up or a little bit, or the roll wouldn't be as pure, right? And as soon as I fixed that and kind of if you can hold your core and have that very smooth rocking motion, all of a sudden my start lines got way better, right? But nobody thinks I need to do a ton of core exercises to make my putting better, right? But the more I'm able to hold my core and hold my hips and hold my posture, my setup gets way better over the club, and I see way better putts, and I'm seeing that now. Like my putting is wild compared to what it used to be. So golf fitness, very underrated.
Nice.
So fitness is number one. If you're not going to be able to get if you can't go full golf cocaine mode like me and you live in a climate that you can practice. Number two is I think you just get an indoor putting mat, because you can do all your at-home putting work and actually maintain your stroke at home. Like I don't actually practice putting on the putting green. I work on speed and some start line stuff, and reading the greens. But all of my stroke work is done at home. That's a funny line. All my stroke work is done at home.
You froze.
Did you hear what did you hear it? No, I said no. All of my stroke work is done at home.
You froze for a sec there,
Oh
too.
man, that was the best line.
Okay.
So I think, get a cheap, I have like a $35 putting mat off Amazon. And I have my putting mirror, and I have this mat from that I got off Rich from Genuine Golf that has basically has my arc. If you watch my Quintic putting videos on my YouTube video, we mapped my arc on it. And so I have a straight putt here. I have my putter out all the time. I have balls, and whenever I need to take I take a random phone call, if I'm with my music stuff, I'm waiting for stuff to export, I can get in 500 putts a day, easy. Waiting for something to cook. That's where I get all my stroke work done. So then when I go to the course, or if I then I'm just working on speed, reads, all of those things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got I've had good luck. I found the putt out mat along with the putt out putting tool that people use. I find that has been really beneficial for me. Just if you don't have the right pace and don't make the right stroke, that ball's not staying in the putt out.
No.
So in terms of pace control, that's been a huge one for me.
Yeah, that one can get frustrating. Like if you like that putt out thing, oh man. But when you hit it though, and it sticks, it's so good. I have that too, actually. I have that too in my setup. And when I fine tune it, I've gone like full psycho mode with that, where I'll take because I have the putt out mirror, so I'll take the mirror. I have the gates, and then I put the putt out what's it called, the perfect trainer or something, the perfect putt, that trainer that you're talking about, where it sticks. I'll put that at the end, and if you really want to frustrate yourself, that's wonderful. I love that though. The third thing is if you can get to a simulator and hit balls. And I'm even on the fence of if you can get a net and a mat and hit balls in your garage, I think you just have to swing the club and hit balls to maintain your feel. And I don't even know if you necessarily have to do it correctly. Maybe a golf coach would know better, but there's something. And I noticed this coming off my 10-day cycle of not hitting. the impact feels so different when you haven't hit balls for a while. Like hitting through, I find going through the ball feels so different. There's like this weird, it almost feels like it's like the impact is more aggressive in a negative way. Like it feels very taxing to hit the ball. And I especially notice even as the clubs get longer, like my ability to accelerate through versus 10 days prior when I was hitting every day, I was hitting it through, going through the turf, no problem. So I'm even on the fence now where I think like, a lot of people don't want to hit balls into just a random net because you don't know if you're doing things right. And that may be true, but I do also wonder if it's just good to hit balls for the physicality of it, whether or not you're doing it correctly. And then if you can get to a simulator, once or twice a month, like if you spend 5 minutes just crushing balls into a net every day, just to keep the feeling of turning and the feel in your hands, and then go to a simulator twice a month, keeps your cost low because simulators are expensive now. It's like $30 to $50 an hour in some places, which is that's a lot because you can't play really. You need to book 2 hours at least if you're going to play a full round. You can book an hour and just hit balls. That's totally fine. It's like going to the range. But I definitely think you gotta hit balls as much as you can. And I'm now thinking like just hit balls in your house into a net, whether or not you get feedback or not. What do you think?
I think just I agree with you. Just the ability to make a golf swing and hold a finish. As you say, if you haven't been swinging in a while, it's kind of your ability to complete your swing, let's say, or hold a finish becomes taxed or more difficult. So just keeping that body loose and swinging is so important. I think that's where tools like super speed and some of the other speed training.
Absolutely.
I mean, the advantage of gaining speed is obvious, but the other thing that those tools do is they get you swinging. Whereas, regular stretching just in a gym, which is great, fitness, cardio, those things are great. It's not the golf movement. And as you and I know, like the golf swing itself is so many unique and small muscles that need to fire.
Right.
That just there's no compensation for just making golf swings.
100%. Yeah, that's a really good point too. Like integrating the stack system or super speed. Doing those, you can do those swings in your garage, in your backyard, if you got a basement big enough, wherever. That's a big one. 100%. Yeah. And then if you do get a net in your house, like if you're able to, you can get cheap nets on Amazon, cheap net and a mat. Even you can hit some chips, right? Because those are the things that go to crap, is those feel shots, your putting, and being able to like hold a finish and make full swings, right? So being able to maintain that.
Yeah.
And like whenever we have snow here, that's kind of my default. I can still go hit balls at our range because I've hit balls in -10 outside because they have heaters and the owners even let me.
I love the Instagram post of you taking a bucket of balls below a heater and warming them up.
Oh yeah, because you don't want to crack your clubs. You got to defrost your balls. So because whenever we
this is a family podcast, Gabe. Let's not.
I've already said you do your stroke work at home, so I blew that today. I think whenever we've had droughts of snow here in the winter, and I haven't been able to really practice, I still try and make sure I can hit balls every day or take some swings every day because it's just so necessary. So necessary.
So fitness, indoor putting, simulator work. What's our last?
So the fourth one I think is is kind of going to be my sleeper tip, and I think this bleeds into like a bigger, more philosophical part of this. And I think number 4 is clean up your life in the off season. So I think there's a direct correlation between how well you play and what's going on in your life and how you feel about your life and how stressed you are and a lot of those things. At least I do find that for myself. And I've seen huge dividends in my golf game from cleaning up areas of my life that are either stressing me out or kind of nagging at me. And it could be small insignificant things. It could be big things, right? And I've kind of dealt with both. I think if you have time in the off season, figure out and do an audit of what in your life is is kind of messing with you, you know? Like I know for myself, you know, early in my golf journey, if I hit a bad shot, I would immediately just have horrible self-talk and I would just be really kind of rude to myself, right? Or if there was something going on at work, it would kind of hover over me while I played. And it took away from my joy of golf, right? It took away from enjoying the game. And so I think what you can do in the off season is if you kind of clean up your life, you know, work on putting together a budget for yourself for golf so that when the season does come, you can afford it and you can enjoy it and you don't have to feel stressed because golf is expensive and it does kind of suck sometimes how much money it requires to play this sport. So taking the time to financially allocate. And then, yeah, I think just, you know, working on your mental well-being, your health, and cleaning up any bullshit in your life that is holding you back.
See, when you say clean up your life, I agree with you. But where my brain automatically goes to, I think, and where some of the listeners can benefit is think about things like sleep and diet.
Totally.
So we're all going to be going in, you know, new clubs are here within the next day or so from recording this podcast. I think we've got a new Callaway drop coming. TaylorMade clubs are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Everyone's going to want to go and hit the new equipment, get fit for it. If you can take January and just focus on a good sleep routine, January, February, focus on cleaning up your diet. Maybe, you know, lots of people, you know, take a dry January. It's a great idea. Maybe make some diet adjustments and just, you know, get yourself in better mental and physical shape in order to like start the year off right come March or April. I think that's huge. And that's something I think any of us can do regardless of our work or what happens outside. Like not everyone can dedicate the time to necessarily get some of the other ideas that we've talked about here done, but clean up your sleep cycle, clean up your diet. I think we can all do. And it's huge the gains you can get from that.
Absolutely. That's been huge. And you know, you make such a great point. And I think I've seen in myself what I find great too about kind of making golf the end goal for some of this stuff is I think it's hard for us to make some of these lifestyle changes without like a motivating factor. Like I know for me, you know, previously before I did this golf journey, working out 5 days a week would not be something I would choose to do. And now it has been years now of working out on that pace. And it's because I work out for golf. You know, like I always used to say like, you know, I don't like running, but I'll go play soccer for an hour. Right. And it's like, you could I'll probably run 5K during that game of soccer. But if you told me to run for an hour, I would hate it. And I think what's great about the game of golf is it almost provides like a goal that makes you have to clean up all these other areas of your life to be good at it, right? Like you become more physically fit, you'll be better at golf. You sleep better, you eat better, you take care of yourself. You take care of yourself more like an athlete would. You'll play better. You clean up areas of your life that are stressing you out, and you become a more, you know, relaxed, calm, holistic individual. You'll play better. And these were all actually very big unintended benefits that I came across. And you've seen that for me, right? Like, you know, the evolution in my diet and my sleep from when you and I met to now is massively different, right? Even in yourself, as you started, have you even, you know, from you doing the Golf Forever stuff and all that and kind of leaning more into that. Yes, it helps you with your golf game, but on your day-to-day feeling better, right? Like how many flights do you take a year? That's a big toll on your body, but now you're getting a lot of that. You're getting that rehab back in from having a better routine that benefits your golf game, but it's actually benefiting your whole existence.
Yeah. You know, we didn't talk about this, but I took a look. We were joking on the phone there right before the end of the year. So 2023 closed. I took a look at my Marriott app and my Fairmont app, and some of these stays, well, obviously I had some vacations in there, but I spent 139 nights in a hotel room in 2023 on the road.
Oh my gosh. That's taxing.
So, the majority of which was work. So again, yeah, that all plays into it, right? So the more things you can clean up outside of that, I mean, because that's not, again, so I say some of that's in my control because it's vacation, but a lot of it's not. It's just my job. the things you have control over that you can clean up to offset some of those other factors, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. So anyway, guys, so just a quick wrap up for fitness. Get your fitness dialed in. Get yourself an indoor putting mat. Get yourself a net and a mat if you can hit balls inside where you live. If not, if you can get to a simulator a couple times a month, once a week, that'd be huge. And then number 4 is kind of focus on all these things that can help clean up your life and make you just a more complete human so that you feel better. And the best part about all this is none of this is expensive, right? I do majority of my workouts at home. The indoor putting mat's super cheap. The simulator work can get a bit up there, but if you can get a net and hit balls at home, you can save money that way. And then, sleep and diet, those are kind of things that are in your control and can be within your budget.
Yeah. Well, that leads us into 2024, Gabe. I think let's talk about your goals for the year. Where's your golf game
I'm
going?
excited. You know what? 2024. This is the most peace I think I felt going into a new year. Maybe ever, honestly. It's funny. Like I feel kind of what we were saying about step number 4 of like the cleaning up your life. I think, my goal my first goal that I put out on my channel for like my golf goals was to get to a +6 and turn pro and to get my YouTube channel like really popping, right? That was like when I did my first off season, those were my 2 big goals. And I've fallen short on both of those. But through pursuing those 2 goals of trying to get myself to that level, I've had so many unintended benefits. And that has led to this like level of peace going into 2024 from having to take care of a lot of those things that were getting in the way of me getting to those goals. So, for this year, 1 is to be militant on my process and habits. So I think, I've built up this level of like routine and consistency. And so I have my practice routine. I know exactly what I'm working on. I've got my nutrition dialed in. I just did a water only fast, which was pretty gnarly. Just to reset the body going into the new year. I got a Stanley in my stocking. So dude, how ridiculous is this bottle, by the way? Do you see, look how massive this thing is.
How many of those are you drinking a day?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure how many of these you're supposed to drink a day. I think it's 2, maybe. Again, I'm trying to get my hydration a little better because in the winter specifically, I'm bad at hydration. So I'm trying to really be militant on my processes and my habits. That's going to be a big thing. A book I recommend to anybody is Atomic Habits, and it's by James Clear, and it's about, I think it's James Clear. It's just about nailing down, building these good habits into your life and how you can stack habits together to get like a bigger aggregate effect and a bigger benefit. And I think I was doing some of that already, but then last year I read the book and I really started to supercharge it. And so now I've got this just laneway that I'm running on. And I feel really, really good about it. I feel good. My body feels good. And as a result, my practice and my game feels good. So goal number 1 is just to be absolutely militant on that and continue that. That's going to be huge. And I got to drink these Stanleys like a madman, which just feels hilarious because this is just an outrageous bottle.
When I met you, that would have been the size of your coffee. So at least we've moved on.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting, right? Which kind of leads to number 2, which is big part of my goal is like, I want to really take more ownership of my health. Now that I'm 32, I think, we kind of take for granted our health when we're younger. And as you get older, you just kind of become more aware of your mortality. And then also as a result too, from
try being 45, big guy. You've got a long way to go.
But I think also too, because I've learned so much training now as an athlete that I really go down to like trying to optimize my performance and optimize my capability. And one of the interesting things too, when you start training as an athlete, is you're just not willing to settle for poor energy, poor sleep, poor diet, because you can feel the performance dip, right? So like last year I gave up coffee in February because I noticed it was messing with my sleep and also messing with, just my body a little bit. I used to be a big Diet Cola guy, and I've completely cut that out. And, I want to kind of really invest more in my health and just become more optimized this year, because I think not only will that translate into golf, but also just better overall life. But, the best athletes in the world are all optimized. And I think I'm at that point now where I've done a lot of the work I can do, without doing blood scans and all these other things. And I feel really good. That's the other thing. My energy and my mental clarity and mental acuity is really nice. And so I really want to, like, a big one is ownership of my health. And it's something just, I never prioritized as much as I could. And I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to. But now I'm going to, that's a big one to nail down. And then the third one, and this has kind of been my ethos for myself since 2022, is that honestly, good golf solves everything. And I think, ultimately I want to get to a +6. And I think the reason I want to get to a +6 is because I feel like if you can't get to a +6 as an amateur, you're delusional about turning pro. Right? If I see the players you're up against at the pro level, and I'm talking about players I'm up against at the pro level here locally in British Columbia, I think playing off anything lower than a +6 is just kind of not being competitive enough to really play.
Just for the listeners then too, where are we now? Like if the goal's the +6, where's the January 2024, where do you think you are?
To be
right
honest,
now?
I haven't tracked a handicap. I haven't really done much handicapping the past year. I kind of stopped caring about my handicap. And I did that.
Do you have an idea where you think you might be?
I honestly don't know. I may be a 2. Some days I feel like a 4. Some days I feel like a +1 again. Lately, what has been nice is that I'm seeing more under par scores the right way. And I think that what I say about that is I think, throughout this journey, I've been able to shoot under par a variety of ways. And I think when I see what I'm up against to become pro, it's not that there's a wrong way to shoot under par, but there's definitely a more sustainable game to be built that if I kind of
more repeatable.
Yeah,
I think is the word.
On shorter courses, I have this really strong grip I can go to and bunt it around, and I can shoot pretty well, but that is never going to work against the big boys that I want to play against. So I've been militant on building this swing the right way, building it out the right way. And now it's starting to feel correct. And so,
if I had to take a guess, I would say watching you, I would say you're probably about a scratch right now.
Yeah.
Which means that, there's probably our goal for the year is take a scratch to a +6.
Yeah. And that's probably a fair assessment. I think, and the reason why I haven't gotten hung up on handicaps is exactly I needed the freedom to experiment and fail without worrying about where it put me. So I didn't want to have to care. Right. I played a couple events this year where I shot, a bunch over, they were not competitive rounds, but the purpose of those rounds was not anything other than to swing with full intent, right? I had to learn some skills. I had to figure out if I was on the right path, right? And so being able to swing with full intent, being able to, not cheat my swing and not cheat my processes, build good processes, build good form, all of those things. And it just kind of goes back to good golf solves everything. It's really, what I want out of this journey is to make golf my full-time job, both being as a creator and both competing in professional events. And until I reach a certain level of objective good that happens, I just got to keep working at it. But I'm at peace with the fact that, if that happens this year, amazing. If it doesn't, that's also good too. I truly now can say, like, the process of going through this, I really enjoy and I really like. And I'm at peace now. I think that's what I was saying earlier too, with I'm at peace with where I am going into this year. And I'm excited because I feel like I've just built a lot of equity with myself and with my game. And I've built a really good foundation physically with the workouts and have not cheated my process, where I just feel really good about it. And so, again, it just goes back to good golf solves everything. If I can just keep getting to this level of of objective good that I know I can do and play golf the way I know I can envision to make those strides. And that's why too, I made a video, back in June, called One More Year. Right. And I made a follow-up video just before Christmas talking about how I think my swing at that point was a year away from being truly competitive. And 6 months from that video it was December 19th when I dropped that video, was the 6-month update to that. And the results are massive, right? The difference between June me and December me is huge. So I know I can make these kind of exponential strides. This is all just taken a lot longer than I thought, but that's fine. I'll always want things to go faster. And I think in previous years, I've really, really wanted them to go faster. Whereas this year I'm kind of cool. I'm I love what I'm doing. I love this journey. And if I can make it happen this year, that'd be amazing. If not, then we just keep going. But I'm at peace with that. So that's that. And then what I would love as part of that too is that, I think I've given off the impression that I don't like making YouTube videos, or I find being a creator, it's not something I like. It's that's not the truth. I love making YouTube videos. I want to make more content. It's just, I just will always prioritize working on the skill versus making content. And my hope for this year is that as I can kind of bring my golf level higher, it'll allow me to invest more of my time into that and kind of make that bet on myself so that I can step away from music and kind of make golf my job.
And I think you've got a different goal than a lot of content providers or content makers. So your goal is to turn pro. And if you look at the majority of the golf space on YouTube, those individuals they've decided to make YouTube the career.
Right.
And the amount of time and effort it takes to do that versus, your channel and your YouTube experience is more about documenting your experience to become a professional golfer. And I don't think there's very many of the quote unquote YouTube golfers that can say that that's their end goal. They've kind of settled in the space of, their income and their livelihood comes from content creation, which is not where we are where you have envisioned yourself going. So there's a difference there too.
Absolutely. And that's a big piece. And I think, but again, I'm also at peace with that too, right? I used to be kind of mad that wasn't happening faster because I wanted it to happen faster. Because though I love making music, I'm just tired of the music business. We were talking last week. I had a client run off because he went on a full-on bender and disappeared for a week and a half. And that's just the nature of working with artists. And I'm just a bit over that. And over that life. So I think, what I hope this year is that I will be able to reach that level of good golf to solve those two things. And I think if I can transition into that, that would be the ultimate happiness kind of bump for me for this year. And that's it. And that's kind of those are my big goals. And that's just very simple. Oh, and you know what? One more thing too is this kind of goes to more the ownership of my health. I want to get to 180 pounds by the end of this year. So I'm at 170 right now. And I want to, my best feeling was when I was just a bit heavier, but not when I was 190. And I think the sweet spot for playing weight for me is in the high 170s to 180. And I think if I give myself a year to kind of, now they also understand better nutrition and how just kind of my body and my metabolism kind of works. I want to get to 180. And if I could probably get there sooner, I'll probably get there, within a couple months, but I really want to just kind of be able to stay at that weight and that be my fighting weight.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's those are my big, keeping it simple. Those are my goals for this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little sidebar here, but you mentioned about you had a client that went AWOL for a week and a half. Did you see the big news that dropped on Christmas Day from one of the live golfers?
No.
So Harold Varner III, unfortunately, was arrested on a DUI.
You know what? I did see that on thing. That's very sad.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting, too, because I was thinking as I was reading the article, if that was the PGA Tour, there's some policies around, public image and that. And I'd be curious to know if that translates into a suspension versus live, and whether live has the same sort of requirements. I doubt anything is going to come from
I don't know.
Aside from the legal situation.
But again, in a normal, in any contract, right? Especially when you're getting like even big executive contracts, there's some sort of clause on like behavioral. There's got to be. So he got a big signing bonus. I don't know what his signing bonus was, but he got money to go over. Wouldn't surprise me if there's a conduct clause. But again, you're right. Like
for me, I don't know if I knew nothing about him, and then following Bryson DeChambeau and Bryson's YouTube channel, where they've done a bunch of live content, and he's been on a bunch of the videos. I've actually quite enjoyed getting to know him better. He has a great personality.
Yeah, and
it was sad to see that article.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I got to see him play at the Canadian Open. He was with Harold. It was him, Harold Varner, Terrell Hatton, and Justin Rose. And it was funny because I think Rose was playing slow in the group, and they were a bit antsy over his pace. And so that was kind of funny because, you don't really get to see that on camera. But they were a bit antsy over his pace. But yeah, it's too bad because, and interesting player too, like, his, just seeing his swing and he's a Jordan athlete as well. So he wears the Jordan shoes, and that's too bad. Not the best way to finish your year. That's for sure. No. But on a happier note,
anyway,
Dave, what's your, what are you at for 2024 golf goals?
My 2024 goals are pretty simple. So I finished 2023 with 22 rounds played.
Nice.
And an index of exactly 7.0. So I want to go into 2024. I want to get that below 5, so 4.9 or lower. And if I can get 30 rounds in, I'm going to say 2024 is a successful year for me.
I like that. And how many putters and drivers are you allowed to purchase in 2024?
Do we have to put a limit on it?
Okay. Actually, better question.
What is
the minimum amount of drivers and putters you want to buy in 2024? That's a good goal. I want to buy at least 2.
The correct number is whatever gets me below a 5 index.
Oh, I like that. Well, did you see the thing from Jonathan Wall about the 2024 drivers?
I did not.
Okay,
no.
So hold on. I'm going to pull this up right now. But basically, I think I texted you, I might have texted you this screenshot, but he essentially said he was testing a bunch of the 2024 product, and apparently like off-center hits. I'm just trying to pull it up on my phone here. Yeah, here you go. This is Jonathan Wall's tweet from golf.com. He's like, without giving too much away, robotic testing 24 drivers has produced some seriously impressive results. One model had identical spin when comparing center to a low miss, and another had almost no carry drop between center and high toe. Going to be a big year for a select few. And I immediately went, Dave's bag is not safe. There is no way that paradigm is safe with that tweet.
That is entirely possible. I will tell you, what further solidified itself in the bag with those rounds in Sonoma is that sim to tie fairway.
Yeah.
That thing.
That thing's a rocket, eh?
It's a rocket, and hit a high draw off the tee, hit it from the fairway. That club has been probably the best purchase I've made in a long time.
That's nice. I really like that.
But,
I really like that. You know what? Oh, and how are the milled grinds?
they're good.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
them.
You
Yeah.
didn't see the new SM10 leaks that popped around?
I think you shared that with me.
Yes,
Didn't
I
you,
think
over the
all
holidays?
golf equipment or one of them golf equipment. One of those accounts leaked them, and I went.
Yeah,
I went. Those those milled
not-
grinds are gone.
There's we're not in love, or we don't hate them yet. They're there.
But are
It's
they
just
are they going to get you to a 5, Dave? Are they going to get you to a 5?
It's-
You know what? You've realized now. This is you're so screwed because now every time I'm going to be like, but is it going to get you to a 5? And that can work in two ways. That can discourage you and encourage you.
Listen, I'm going to be the other part of my goal. I'm doing a whole 30 in January, eating clean, not drinking, and in February, we're gonna go get fit for the 2024 product, and then we can do a what's in the bag update. We'll see what changes.
We're having a what's in the bag update every 5 episodes with you. I can't wait. My favorite part about the podcast.
Should we do a fitting podcast? Should we
We probably should.
Dave and Gabe go get fit?
We probably should. You know what? I love my driver, but I am curious about this new Callaway driver. I've heard some stuff. I won't say anything because though I'm not officially on embargo, I just don't want to deal with any potential. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
no,
I don't. I don't know what
yeah.
the rules are because I'm not on the inside. However, from people that are on the inside, there is some interesting stuff that they have done that is different than the previous drivers. And so I am curious to see if that will move the needle. Also, I found that my Ping G4 430 LST replacement is coming. So I am going to be able to shoot that out versus the 9 degree of that versus the Rogue. And I also I am curious to try the Max 10K. Whenever that comes out, the Ping Max 10K. Finau didn't put it in play. I think Cameron Champ, did. But
you know what drivers got me interested just from the looks is the new Cobra.
Oh, the dark
images
speed
that have leaked on. Yes, the images that have leaked online of that driver. Again, we'll see what the tech is when it comes out and what the story is. But from a pure appearance standpoint, that driver looks great. And I know their previous couple models have performed really well in testing.
Well,
so
my Golf Spy, I think, had the
what was last year?
Aerospeed.
Jet speed. Airspeed.
But my Golf Spy had it. I think it was the longest driver of
the Cobra from last year.
And even Max, my coach, he was saying, because he's got to connect down in California at Cool Clubs or one of those places. And he even said too, the guys were telling him best driver of the year was the Cobra. But it's the driver I see the least.
Is Cobra, do you think, the most underrated company in terms of who's the one that flies under the radar that should get more notoriety?
I think Srixon.
Notoriety.
I think Srixon.
Yeah.
I think Cobra's really good, but I think Srixon is batting at way above what their brand is perceived as. Their irons are unreal. I don't know anything about their woods, to be honest, but I'm sure they're decent. I haven't heard anything bad about their woods. I just don't think they're as popular over here. Because over in Japan, they're massive. But I think in North America, I think they're underrated for what they do, in my opinion. I think because even my Golf Spy said too, their irons they over-index on performance.
Are those pings safe in your bag?
They're safe. Irons? They're safe. Everything is safe. Although,
there's some new blueprints coming out.
No. I hit these really good because the only reason I would want the blueprints would be for the short irons, and I hit these short irons so well Now, do you want to hear? There is a potential rabbit hole I want to explore, Dave. If you will indulge me, I still have my LA golf shafts in my T1. I still have those, right? And there's somebody here locally selling a set of used I-230s that are in really good condition for like a really good price. And so there is a world where I'm debating buying those I-230s and putting the LAs in them so that I can test head-to-head I-230s with LAs versus I-230s with my Dynamic Gold X100 120s. But I also don't know if that's just a waste of, that's probably going to cost me $1,500 all in to do.
Is there anything, so I would say, what are you not getting performance-wise out of your current I-230s?
Honestly, nothing. My only concern is that by June, will I be loading the shafts too much? So one of the issues I run into constantly, right, is that as I get stronger, my delivery slightly changes. Like there's, and so what I did like about having the LAs through all of last year was that as I got stronger, it didn't really have an issue. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just didn't, like they just kind of stayed consistent. What I found with the Modus.
This is great.
What I found with the Modus when I had those 120s is that there was a point where I started overloading them. Again, not sure. Maybe I need to just hard step the 120s if I get to a certain point. I don't know. Again, this might be way too just my brain likes to do stupid shit. This is an example of me doing stupid shit. But
yeah, I mean, this is perfect. This is perfect for the listener because this is what we talked about in the first episode where we said we talk each other off the ledge because now it's my turn to talk Gabe off the ledge. It sounds like you're proposing a solution for a problem that isn't real yet.
Yes.
So I would say the clubs are working.
Yeah, they're working, and that's why.
Let's wait till June. Let's wait till June, and if it becomes a problem in June, then we can deal with it rather than light $1,500 on fire.
I know. It's just because you know what? I saw this used set. I guess I had alerts on my Facebook Marketplace, and so when it popped up, I went, "Oh, this is a good deal," and I know the guy selling them, so I know they're like legit. And then I'm like, well, this would be, this would be a good way to test. Because the other thing I don't want to do, I love my current set so much, I don't want to mess with the build. Like I don't want to tear one up. I don't want to take unshaft one. And then you were telling me too, with the way the pings are built, like there's the weighting is all special in how they build them.
There's tip weights in them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, then you just get into all this stuff on that end. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of like ruining these set. And then the other piece too, and we talked about this, the difference between what I am finding with the steel shafts versus the graphite is that for feel shots, I do think, and I don't know if this is just anecdotal and complete crap, but I do feel a difference in feel shots being a little easier with the metal shafts versus graphite. I think graphite I can go full rip at a little easier.
Yeah.
But feel shots and punch shots, I think there's something about the way the shaft loads that is different.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that when you had the LAs is you didn't have a comfortable 3/4 shot. And I point the listeners to go to your Instagram page. Look up Gabe's Instagram page from late December 28th or 29th or something. And there's an image of you hitting a 3/4 4-iron that looks so comfortable and easy, which is not a swing I saw you make when you had the LA golf shafts.
No.
So,
yeah. It's just, Bryson's got the I-230s with the LAs and his dispersion is unreal. And so now it's got me curious, Dave. Yeah. It's got me curious. But it's okay. That's for another time. Well, that's good. You know what? I think it's good. Episode 3. We did it.
Should we close with some trivia?
Yeah, hit
again?
me.
Do you feel like some questions?
Hit me. I've been studying.
All right. Okay. So today's trivia is PGA Tour putting stats. I've got a good one here for you.
I think I know this. I think I'm familiar with some putting.
I'm going to ask you, what is the make percentage on the PGA Tour from 10 feet, 4 feet, and 3 feet? And this data was all taken from January 2023. So this would have been 2022 seasonal data. But anyway, the PGA Tour the putts made percentage from 10 feet, 4 feet, and 3 feet.
Okay, so 10 feet. Okay, so I know 8 feet, it goes to 50-50. Right? So I want to say 10 feet. I'm going to go with 40% from 10 feet.
Okay.
I think.
And we should say to the listeners, these are for a flat putt.
Yeah. I'm going to go 45%. Did I say 40 or 45?
You said 40.
Okay.
But
No, I'm going to go
40 or 45.
I'm going to go 40. 40% from 10 feet.
40, 10 feet.
And then I think 3 feet is 90%. And 4 feet is 80.
I have to say, you did very well. I did not expect you to do that well.
You know what? I got to give a shout out to Decade, because Scott Fawcett really hammers this stuff home.
So you nailed it. From 10 feet, it's exactly 40%.
Oh, yes.
And here's the interesting thing that I found. So there's a reason I went 4 feet and not 5 feet. So the make percentage from 3 feet was 92.1%. You said 90. Okay. So that's close. But the difference from 3 feet to 4 feet, so 12 more inches, the make percentage drops from 92.1 to 81.6%. So over a 10% difference for those 12 inches.
In just a foot.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Which, it's crazy. When I read it, I had to double check and go to another website. I'm like, okay, I got to double check that this is right, because I'm surprised that it made that much of a difference. Yeah,
well, and this is one of the things I remember doing the Decade stuff, and that's why I started doing the Phil Mickelson around the world 3-foot drill, and doing 100 3-footers in a row from around the cup, because it's basically like lag it to 3 feet and then clean it up. As opposed to trying to make some of these longer putts. Like, one of the big tenets that Fawcett always talks about is stop trying to make putts, and especially the long ones. But that's why. But then 4 feet all of a sudden goes to 80%. Absolutely wild. Oh, okay. Well, I did better than the driving stats last week. Woo!
You did, yeah. All right.
I'm happy.
So episode 3, that's in the books.
We did it.
I think, should we tell the listeners here? So I think in one of the future podcasts here, we're going to have Gabe answer listener questions.
Yeah. I've got a couple already.
I've
got a couple already from some of the homies on YouTube, but please let's send them in on underneath this YouTube video, or you can send them to me on Instagram, or you can send them by carrier pigeon. Whatever you have available.
But yeah. Let's get those questions in, and then I will ask the questions, and your man Gabe here will answer.
Yeah, that next episode, I'd love to do that, because there's some. Actually, we got some good ones. My homie Tim wants us to go deep on eye dominance, and I've been down that rabbit hole, so we're gonna hit that on the next one.
Is there a rabbit hole you've not been down?
Only the ones I'm not aware of yet, and I cannot wait for the rabbit holes. You know what? That's another good goal for 2024. I am just so excited for the rabbit holes I am yet to discover. Think about it. Cricket shoes are here because of 2023 rabbit holes. Ping I 230s are here.
Well,
what awaits me?
I'm going to give you some homework, because next week's trivia is going to regard LPGA stats.
Oh, okay.
So you're really going to have to put your thinking cap on.
All right. I got to do some studying. Well, guys, hope you had a wonderful holiday break. Happy New Year. Okay? From the both of us, we hope your 2024 is absolutely unreal and that you crush your golf goals. And hopefully, our tips for how to get better this offseason help you. And we look forward to kind of sharing more of that and sharing the journey. And we hope you continue to join us on our wonderful 2024 of golf. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.